The lack of new home construction over the past 5 years has home values soaring at rates not seen since the housing bubble, and this is happening in most U.S. markets. So, does this mean we're setting up the next housing bubble today? You might be surprised when you see what the data says, and today's report yields all the evidence that we need to understand the future of home values. The data I'm using today comes from the Tallahassee Board of Realtors, but from I'm hearing from agents all around the U.S., this data very well could come from any market from coast to coast. We are telling our buyers and sellers that there is an ever-changing difference between new and used home values. I like to track the average value of both new and existing homes that have sold in order to see how far apart they are. In this graph, we've plotted the average new home value in price per square foot in red, and existing home values are plotted in blue. The difference, or the delta, is plotted in gray and highlighted in yellow and is reported on the right vertical axis. What I'm looking for in this graph can be found by following the delta between the two measurements, and it has fallen to 23%, the lowest we've seen in 12 years. Simply put, relative to used homes, new homes are more affordable than we've seen since 2009. What's interesting is that from 2000 through 2007, the average difference in values between new and used was less than 10%. This is an important fact that explains the big difference between today's soaring market and the market that formed the housing bubble of 2006. 20 years ago, builders were able to produce homes that a large portion of the homebuyer pool could afford. As loan qualification standards declined, more buyers entered the market, and buyers were able to deliver the products they wanted. In fact, due to the tight delta between new and used homes, builders were able to flood the market with inventory. When the crazy loan products were canceled, a solid portion of the demand was squashed, leaving the market with a glut of homes, many of which were brand new construction. Now contrast that period of change with that of today. Builders have not been able to produce for the vast majority of buyers, as the delta has been far too large due to increased costs of construction and diminished supply of affordable lots. Instead of building for the masses, home builders have been restricted to building homes for a much smaller segment of the population. This has left us with a supply imbalance that is completely opposite of the housing bubble years. Back then, there were so many speculators in the market, oftentimes buying new construction homes and then flipping them to other buyers after the homes were completed. The majority of inventory today is homes being sold so that the owners can buy another home. When mortgage interest rates rise, we will see a similar effect as the change in available loan programs had on the 2006 market. We will see demand decline, but this time we're going to see supply diminish too, as the majority of today's inventory is from sellers who are also buyers. So when they no longer qualify for what they wish to buy, they will depart the market, taking their potential home listings with them. In other words, declining demand will also result in declining supply. Ultimately, what this graph shows is that the high cost of new construction has been pulling up the average value of existing homes, as the lack of supply that is not being replaced by new homes has created the scarcity that provokes runaway appreciation. The next graph reinforces this observation. Now we'll look at how appreciation rates differ between new and used homes. New home values are plotted in red, while used home values are plotted in blue. This graph shows some interesting points. First, look at 2006, where the average value of new homes shot up 25%. Builders were making money hand over fist, and they kept shooting up prices because buyers couldn't get enough of them. Until they could. What the graph does not show is just how many homes were sold in 2005 and 2006. In 2006, more new homes were sold than all the homes sold in the 5-year period from 2009 through 2013. On top of that, those homes sold in 2006 were at values 25% more than those sold in the year prior. The 1,942 new homes sold in 2005 and 2006 collectively were more than all the new homes sold in the 8 years from 2009 to 2016. Let's just put this to rest by saying that new home sales took a dive after that fateful 2005-2006 sales explosion of nearly 2,000 homes. When we examine the graph closely, we see that existing home values fell much harder than did new home values. And this makes perfect sense, as the only real declines in new home values came from the excess builder homes that were foreclosed upon. After that, builders were very careful when bringing homes to the market and rarely built homes that the market would not consume. Unlike existing homes, the cost of construction is always a factor for builders, and generally speaking, their costs are always moving higher. If it costs too much to build, they shut down production. When the market can consume homes above builder cost, they ramp production back up. This isn't true though in the existing homes market. If somebody is moving out of town, they typically have to sell their home regardless of what buyers are willing to pay. Sometimes existing homeowners do not anticipate this reality. I spent so many years after the housing bubble burst explaining to home sellers that cost does not matter. The glut of homes for sale had driven values so low that sellers who needed to move needed to price their home with the market, and the market was down. In previous videos, I have often discussed how builders' cost only matters when inventory is low, and if you're a regular viewer of the channel, I'm sure you have heard me say it before. And by the way, if you're not subscribed, please consider clicking the thumbs up like button and subscribing now so that you're the most informed buyer or seller in your next real estate transaction. Times change, and so too do market cycles. We're not seeing short sales in 2021. New home costs have surged higher, and they have been dragging existing home values higher towards the natural alignment of new and used home values. Cost matters again due to the low inventory of homes. Our market hit equilibrium when supply and demand balanced in 2016, and take a look at what we've seen from existing home values over the past 7 years. They have been rising faster than the cost of construction. The blue bars are moving higher at a much faster rate than what the builders are charging. I expect to see this trend continue, and I expect to see this graph continue towards a new and used value delta reaching and surpassing the 10% threshold that was common in the 1990s through 2005. Take note, it won't be new home values dropping. It will be existing homes appreciating up towards the cost of new construction. New home costs and existing home values will return to this tighter bond, and it will only split when the relative supply of homes moves to a higher level. Soon, builders will be able to begin production levels required to bring the homes that our growing population requires. We've seen terribly high appreciation rates in the existing homes market, and now there's reports that rents are soaring too. We need more homes, both for sale and for rent. Otherwise, we're going to see real estate inflation rates that make today seem tame. The U.S. population has grown by more than 30 million people since the housing bubble burst. Yet the production of new housing units has fallen significantly below what we've seen in the past. And for those of you who see the potential foreclosure wave as some sort of cure for this, I think you're missing the big picture. A foreclosure is not merely a housing unit added to the market. It's actually a housing unit added to the for sale market and a tenant added to the for rent market. That's a net zero when it comes to the number of homes our growing population needs. If you'd like more details on the foreclosure crisis that some say is coming, I dedicated an entire video to it at the link above. With interest rates remaining near historic lows, we should expect to see existing homes appreciate at a rate far higher than what has been observed in the past. It's likely that the future includes rising mortgage interest rates that will slow demand and help balance the relationship between buyers and sellers. But this will bring a whole new problem to the table, one that is rapidly approaching today, and that issue is home affordability. If you would like to hear my thoughts on why there will be a home affordability crisis coming soon to a neighborhood near you, you can click the link above. At the beginning of this video, I posed the question, does this mean we're setting up the next housing bubble today? The answer is no. Until we see the production of new homes soaring while demand is declining, there is no bubble in the near future. There are not enough homes to buy or rent for our growing population. My advice to everybody is to evaluate your current situation and decide where you will want to be in 10 years. If the answer is in a more expensive home, sit down today with an experienced real estate buyer's agent and see if you can swing it in this market. It might be possible at today's lower prices and historic low mortgage interest rates, but probably will not be possible at inflated prices and higher mortgage interest rates in the future. It might mean some sacrifice in the early years, but you will be grateful in the future when your undisciplined friends complain that they are stuck in their homes because they cannot afford to upgrade. If you are happy in your present home and do not foresee a need to get a more expensive home in the future, then consider refinancing your current home if you're at a rate higher than today's rate. In either case, recognize that we are at a generational swing in the housing and mortgage markets. It is time for you to make a decision that will have a large impact on your future. Do not fear a housing bubble, but do recognize that the mortgage opportunity is soon to go away for the rest of your life. If you would like to see a video where I address the reality of either a boom or bust for housing, you can view it by clicking on the box on the top left corner of your screen. For a video that provides a shocking forecast for home prices moving forward, just click on the box below it. Please remember to like this video, check out the links below it, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything.